The Stand Comedy Club podcast is brought to you by West Brewery.
Hi guys, Fraser from the Stand Comedy Club podcast. This week I was away on a secret mission, so I am not there. Oh, don't be sad. But Midge and Lottie are still there, holding the fort. And this week we have the fabulous Chris Thorburn, who, fun fact, is also the editor of this podcast. Isn't that fun? Enjoy!
Hi, this is Chris Thorburn. As Fraser just mentioned, I do edit this podcast, which means there's nothing stopping me from putting in a little disclaimer at the start. This episode was recorded in the past. It was recorded in December 2024, which is why there's a couple of references to both Christmas time and the Netflix original movie Hot Frosty. Remember when that came out? We were so young. So even though this episode is coming out in April, it is our unofficial Christmas special. So just clearing that up. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I had a lot of fun recording it. Thanks for listening.
Well, look about, ooh-wee.
That's good. Wow. We're podcasting. We are joined today by a very special guest, Chris Thorburn.
Yay!
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Chris, to the podcast.
I'm a big fan of the podcast. At the time of recording, no episode's been released, but I'm a big fan of the idea.
Thank you.
Long time not listener.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, like at the time of recording, it's December, so I think I speak for all of us when I say like I'm tired, but I'm good.
Good. Yeah.
Are you feeling festive?
I am. Yeah. Like I so. Just behind the camera, the tree is up.
Directly behind.
At time of recording, we are feeling festive and the tree is up.
Yeah.
But I don't know when it is that you're listening to this. It could be like
It's
April.
almost certainly not going to be Christmas.
Yeah.
Do you have an advent calendar currently?
I don't.
Oh my God.
Like normally I was really good at that. Like it was only maybe like a couple of years ago. It was never a conscious decision to stop getting an advent calendar. It's just like you forget.
forget.
Yeah.
And then
I do always find that I only remember about advent calendars on like the 3rd of December.
yeah.
And then is it too late? I don't know.
Yeah.
I might
Either
get
of
one.
you?
I've got one.
Oh right.
I've got a Kinder Bueno one.
Oh, nice.
That's making me want to get one.
It's so good. Well, I think that the best time to get them is just after the 1st of
'Cause it'll be
December
cheaper.
because it'll be cheaper.
Oh yeah.
And then, even better, you can have 3 days in one day.
That is good.
So that's my little advice.
For all you listeners in April. Next year, I guess. Or the end of this, whatever.
So, I guess with it being a Stand podcast, we need to talk to you about you being a valued comedian at the Stand, and we want to talk to you about your. I'm trying to be a Fraser here and keep us on track.
It sounds like a performance review.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
What 3 ways could you improve?
So do you remember your first time performing on this stage?
I do. So it was I think my second gig ever. And it was Red Raw, obviously, and I remember the headliner was an American comedian, Mike Lawrence, who I had seen him do a spot on Conan O'Brien.
Wow.
And so that was wild because it was like, okay, not only is it somebody whose stuff I've seen before, but it's like, an American comedian.
Yeah,
so
like
it's just like
they're like
big,
legit. Like,
yeah.
Whoa.
And I remember, him saying, like I liked your Radiohead joke, and it was just like so that was nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty mad.
Did you do well on your first Red Raw?
I did. I think for like 2 reasons. One, I think this is just such a great room, especially on a Tuesday, like when it's packed out. And 2, I think it's hard for somebody to have a bad first one. Do you know?
Because it's the first,
yeah.
because it's like you've got nothing to compare it to, really.
Yeah. Maybe looking back, it was probably average, but I remember.
But it's like you're like this is it. This is your first time. Yeah.
I just remember I had a lot of fun, and it's when it's your first one, it's basically all the stuff you've already kind of built up, and it was. I remember just the second time coming back here, I had a bit more of a difficult time because I think maybe I thought, well, I can't do any of the material I did the previous time.
So you did completely new stuff.
Completely new stuff, and at that point I was gigging like once every 6 months or
Right,
so.
okay.
So it was like completely out of practice, and
Yeah.
it was like, okay, we're starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
that's
and like,
interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because sometimes you do see people who come back for Red Rock quite a lot, and they do just do the same set over and over again. And it's fine if it goes down well. It goes down well. But it's like, I think it's probably, I don't know. It's like good to try and do new stuff because if you're only doing 5 minutes, like you need to get more 5 minutes and more, you know, so that you can build up a proper set and stuff. So.
I was like naive, and I was like, oh, it'll be frowned upon if I like, you know, like, I'm like, and then, like also thinking like, oh, well, they've all seen it before, like it's the exact same audience.
Do you think as well with you saying with your first, like it's kind of hard to fail on your first Red Roll? Do you think if the host says, because quite often the host does say that
this is their first time ever,
that is or that was their first time, so then do you think the audience are then a bit kinder to you or to the person who is like on first?
Maybe I forget if the host mentioned that at the start, but I've certainly been on Red Raws since then, and it's a nice feeling. I'm a big fan of like when the host says after.
Yes,
like,
so there's not a preconceived thing of like they're going to be bad because it's their first time, or they're going to whatever it is.
Yeah. It's like somebody goes out, has a great one anyway, and then the host comes out and gives the extra. That was their first time,
and then everyone's like,
it's a real nice cherry on top of it.
That is good. Yeah.
I mean, like I've never seen somebody die on their hole and then have somebody come out and say that was their first time.
That's a good point.
I do think it's interesting when people don't do well and then the host comes out and they know that person hasn't done well and then they need to try and address it to be like, oh,
they'll make reference to like something they said and sort of go ooh and then they're like straight into crowd work or something to like distract from whatever's happened.
There's a couple of people that have looked over, even if it's unintentional, when if like
the host over to you,
like the
or to the tech.
The host would come back on, give me a look to say, like, I'm going to do a couple more minutes here.
Right, okay.
I'm like, don't even worry. We need to warm this room back up. But you've hosted a couple of Red Raws, haven't you?
Yeah. Like over the past like year and a bit now, like I've been doing more like Red Raws. But I've been incredibly fortunate, like with like that. So we've got on that. I've never experienced a death. I've never witnessed somebody really having a bad one. Because I remember when I was first starting off, I remember there was when I did a spot and then went and like watched the rest of the night, and there was somebody, and they didn't continue after this, but I remember them coming out immediately saying that they were hungover and then bailing about 2 minutes into it, and like you just hear the repeat start again. And but no, every single. I've probably jinxed it now, but
maybe it's a
time
testament.
of recording.
Yes. Maybe it's a testament to your good hosting skills. You've primed the room perfectly so people can't die.
Maybe
you're like
maybe I'm just that fucking good.
Exactly.
I will take credit for everybody else's hard written material.
Exactly. How do you find the difference between like hosting and doing your own set? Like, do you prefer one over the other, or is it just like totally different? I
think both are kind of fun. I think with hosting, you got a little bit the element of the things you have to do, and have to answer you a couple. What do you do for a living and stuff like that? But like there, you can find some really fun stuff. Like if you're lucky, like that you wouldn't have come across if you were just like doing a set. But I kind of like. Weirdly, I like then the rest of the night when it's just you're just bringing up folk and just making it. Yeah, just you're excited to bring on the next person. Like
you just have to be enthusiastic.
And like somebody's got a little bit like they've done like you can maybe riff on it afterwards. But it's just I do like doing a set because then that's just like one concentrated bit of work and then you're done for the night.
Yeah, that is nice. That is nice. Yeah.
I guess it's also nice seeing. I like seeing hosts, particularly in Red Raw, when it's a spectrum of people's first time to like pros on, and seeing the host kind of getting in and amongst it and feeling like you're part of. Like rallying everyone on, if you are just doing a 5 or a 10, or in other shows if you're just like on the bill, then you just can be like tunnel vision. I'm just gonna think about what
you're
I'm
not
doing.
like part of the crowd.
Yeah. So, what was the best gig you ever did?
Best gig I ever did.
Seamless.
Oh God, I don't. I don't know what the most is I've ever like fucking smashed it or anything. Like I struggle to think, but like one of my favorite gigs I ever did was a few years back. I was traveling over to Australia, like where it was me and my now wife. We were traveling over to Australia, like where we're going to spend like 2 weeks, and the first week was going to be spent. Her brother lives out there with his wife and their kids. We were traveling over with like my wife's like mum and dad as well, and it was like going to be a big family thing. And then the second half of the holiday, we were then going to fuck off, go to like in the hipster part of Perth, stay in a hotel, just not family time, away from kids and stuff like that. And I knew at the end of the holiday I was going to pop the question, but this was like my first time, meeting this whole side of the family,
wow.
Meeting like the brother and all that, and because I was going over there, wonderful Ray Bradshaw, absolute lovely guy, had managed to hook us up with a couple spots.
Cool.
While I was over there. It was the Comedy Lounge, but before they had built their proper club, so they were doing gigs at the Little Creatures Brewery. And it was cool as fuck place. So it's like it's got a restaurant there, huge brewery, and then got a little venue on the side of it. And this was the first one was on the very first night that we arrived at 3 a.m. Rather than go to bed, we stayed up all night drinking and then the next and then the next day was the first gig and so the whole family was coming out. He'd also invited some folk from work, and then initially I was like, what if I bomb?
Oh
what
God,
if this is terrible? And
and this is your first introduction to some of the people.
Exactly, yeah. But no, went up, did 10 minutes. It was a lovely crowd, and it was just a very nice feeling because then it was like, okay, I can do this. I'm good at it.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it was just a very nice feeling, a lot of meeting this whole side of the family, and then just being in a really beautiful brewery and having a fun gig, so that was a nice feeling. I enjoyed that.
That sounds very wholesome and fulfilling.
Yeah.
And was that pre-engagement?
Yes.
Nice.
So that was the first day of the holiday, and then the final day of the holiday was popping the question.
And how did that go?
Crazy.
What was the process?
Did she say yes?
No, but I twisted her arm. We were staying in this hotel, and I knew it had a rooftop, and also this time of year, even though the weather was very good, but you knew that the sunset round about sort of 6 o'clock. So I was like, okay, we'll do this big day out, and then we'll get back to Northbridge, and then we'll plan to watch the sunset from the rooftop. And I did it there, and said yes, it was lovely. But I am convinced I fucked up somebody else's engagement. Just because I think so it was about 5 minutes after, but we're still very much in that kind of post, asking the question kind of mode, and it's and see a guy come up onto the rooftop with his partner, and I could just sense a deflation of just
my God.
Oh fuck, he's already done. And I was maybe I'm just projecting, but I was just oh fuck, maybe
Well, you got there first.
Yeah.
Do you think your wife knew?
No, she did
That's
not.
good. That's good.
Because before she said yes, the first thing she said was, "What are you doing? You're not sneaky." Because I'm notoriously bad at keeping secrets, bad at like lying to her. Like I don't do big lies, but like when
That's quite a big lie, to be fair.
That's the thing. It's stressful, like because even though it's a nice lie, I was in bits like for weeks leading up to it because I'm like I'm lying to her. I am lying, So yeah, it was nice to get that out of the way.
Aww. I just know that if it ever happens to me, my reaction is going to be fuck off. I just know it because that's anything that's ever happened. I've been like fuck. So I just know it's not going to. I've seen all these amazing like engagement videos or everything like that, and everyone has these really lovely stories of like, oh, I'm so sneaky. Oh no, you're not sneaky. I'm just gonna swear at them.
And then like walk away.
That holiday could have gone really bad.
So badly. I get so much on the line there.
Imagine bombing and then she said no.
Oh yeah. Just
in
never
a very different place now.
Yeah, just never touch the southern hemisphere again.
Yeah, and you see the couple come out afterwards, and he probably wouldn't be able to engage, propose anyway, because he'd be like, "This is an unlucky spot."
It's the rooftop that's cursed.
Yeah, it's not me.
It's certainly not me.
Speaking of other cool places, if you've done gigs, how was the one at the GFT that you did?
Oh man, that was so much fun.
That must have been so cool.
Yeah, because again, that's another room that I've got a lot of nice memories in. Anyway, like
this is the Glasgow Film Theatre. For anyone who doesn't know. Yeah,
like old like historical building, like sort of like Art Deco cinema. It's now got 3 screens. The third screen I think was installed maybe about 10 years ago. But for a while it was just like 2 screens. And last March did a show all about films. I did a show there, and it was so much fun because it was in screen 2. Yeah. I've seen a whole bunch of films there. Some of the first dates were like there. I've seen like my friends, like 2 of my friends have gotten married in that screen.
Oh wow!
Yeah. That was a really cool wedding.
That's such a cool location.
They had like corsages made out of celluloid strips. It was so cool.
What the hell?
Yeah. But yeah, that was a ton of fun, and had good friend, wonderful comedian John Agasild opening. And that was great because it meant like before I had to go on got to see John do 10 minutes and like get a feel for how the room is because it's
it's like not a normal comedy room.
No, you're in a cinema and you're like, okay, well let's see how. But no, the room was like the audience was really great. Just get to see John kill for like 10 minutes and then got to go on, and it was lovely because it was a show that I'd done like sort of work in progress version of the year before at the Fringe at like a venue where I was having to bring my own screen and projector and used the screen a lot, and like image quality wasn't great. It was all very pixely, and like setting up the projector every single day, and so to see all your dumb photoshops
on
and like
a
stuff,
proper cinema screen.
that's like so crystal clear on like the same screen where you've seen like La Strada and shit like that, and you're like, and now I'm ruining it with my bullshit.
That's really cool. Yeah. That's nice.
Aye.
And also, I suppose where because the show was like quite a lot to do with film.
Aye.
If the crowd were they like more of a sort of cinema audience, so they could like get all the references more than anyone else? Did it feel like they were like really on board?
Definitely. Like because I think with the Glasgow Comedy Festival, you do get a lot of like your friends or your family coming to see you. But this was the most that I looked out and I was like, I don't know most of the faces in this crowd, which is a nice feeling because you're like, okay, these people aren't here out of a sense of obligation or like a favor or like like a sense of friendship. They are here to see a show, and I don't and because it's a film-based show, it's on at the GFT, and you're getting a crowd that you can do your more kind of niche shit. You can do jokes about Lars von Trier and they will know who you're talking about. And like,
that's great.
Do you find it more nerve-wracking to perform to people that you know or people that you don't know?
Oh, people that you know. Because people that you don't know, you get to... also... There, with comedy, you kind of sort of stretch the truth a little bit, like stories
of course.
stories that happened like 2 years ago or something. You could say, "Oh, this happened to me the other day," or something like that. You edit just for cleanness. But whereas like folk that you know,
they're gonna be like, "What?"
Yeah, just like, okay, this isn't true, or something. Or most of the time you're going with the, sort of mode that you're just like, I'm introducing myself for the first time. We're getting to know one another. And it's also, like, if it's somebody that you know, I don't know, you definitely really want it to go well anyway, because, like, most of the time, say a gig is a little mid, you can just, like, leave,
it's like, oh, these people don't know me, I don't know them. It's like,
just wash it off yourself and it's fine.
Yeah.
But, like, to go back and then be like, hey.
And have to be like, oh, you did really well.
Yeah.
Or like, or whatever it is.
Like, I think it was like last year I was gigging, it was this wee gig in the middle of the week, tiny audience, like not a great gig. But then just as I arrived, I noticed, so like it was an audience of 6 people, and 4 of those people were my aunt and my uncle and their friends that they brought over, and they'd never seen me do comedy before. And you're in this tiny, like, it's in the back room of a pub, and there's a part of you that just kind of wants to say, I do this proper, by the way. Like,
this isn't indicative of what I usually do.
Yeah, because then all of a sudden you're right back to, okay, he's a kid and he's like performing for his parents' friends, his aunts and uncles. He's putting on a little show. Good for him. It's like, no, I get paid for this.
Oh my God. You've done like Red Raw. You've done Screen Time that we have here. You've done Weekends. What's kind of your favorite crowds to? Do you have like a favorite crowd that you like performing to?
Oh, I mean, just when you get a Saturday night here, like, just when everything's just right, where like they're just on the right side of lively, like, like when you're on that notion of, by the time the headliner comes on, they might be a little too tipsy, but I've got them on the sweet spot. I've got them just before the wave crashes, and it's fun. Like it's like just got that right kind of electricity.
I definitely do notice that, like, after the last interval. So we usually have 2 intervals on a weekend, and after the last one, it's just like, I wouldn't want to be the person that's on stage.
I do just want to say that's just some weekends, by the way.
And obviously the crowd are having a great
time.
It's always difficult when the crowd are like a little bit too lively, but they're all having a good time.
Exactly.
Because it's like,
you can't tell them all.
You're not going to be that arsehole that's like, can you stop having so much fun?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, especially when they're in that state, because obviously comedians mostly have a sort of cadence to the way they're talking, so when the joke has happened, but you can tell that the crowd are just laughing because they know a joke's happened. They're not laughing at the joke.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, kind of like other folk are laughing around them and like,
but the time before that, the sort of middle section is sort of perfect, because it's like people are more open to just, they're gonna listen to you, and they're gonna give you a good sort of a good response.
And it's nice when they're a bit lively, because sometimes like if you don't watch yourself, you can kind of go into autopilot, and just a crowd that's going to keep you on your toes a little bit. You need to be present in the room. You need to kind of react and it's fun. It kind of gets you back there in the room, and like that's what it's for.
Yeah, totally. How do you feel about like hecklers?
So again, I don't want to jinx it. It's been a while since I've been heckled.
Okay,
I don't know if it's just because people take one look at me and just like, he can't handle it. Let's not. Let's
not ruin it.
But it's frustrating. Like sometimes when you see like other, people getting heckled, like. Because people, I think some punters like have this idea of like what heckling is specifically somebody shouting out like, you suck,
or exactly.
But no, like sometimes it's just shouting out any kind of stuff that like, and I know I just said like part of it's fun, but sometimes it's I don't like when somebody is clearly setting up a joke, or like say somebody is clearly being self-deprecating, and they are but like the audience, like one audience member thinks they're ahead of the game, and they're like, oh, I've won. Like, you know, occasionally somebody thinks that comedy is something to be won. You know, it's like no, just
and then
just
they ruin, but like by saying something they ruin the flow, and like the tension's lost. So you can't do the punchline that you were going to do. Or whatever. And sometimes it's like you say something about yourself as a comedian that's like, I don't know, self-deprecating or something, and an audience member will go, "No, you're not," or something. And it's like
it's a joke. I'm fine.
Do you really think I would be standing on stage in a room of 200 people and say all this if I really believe it? Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, I would.
So most of the time heckling is just like a frustrating, like, someone not realizing that they shouldn't be talking about
We have said this before, I think, but like the best thing to say when we're talking to people that are being quite disruptive is and hosts and people say it as well, is that everyone's paid the same amount of money to be there, and so like people are wanting to watch people on stage, not the people in the audience. And there's so many times when you have people are, you know, a bit too enthusiastic about it, and you do say that line and then they're like, oh yeah. Now you put it that way.
But it's very frustrating though. Like I like it's the crowds here are wonderful, but like in like sometimes you'll wind up in other places like where there's maybe less like I think everything here is calibrated so well that like folk know they're in for a show, and like but like sometimes it could be like a little more fucking Wild West or something. But like it's when you're not hosting, when you're just doing a spot and you've only got a limited amount of time, and like and then like somebody needs to be spoken to, and you're like, oh fuck, now I need to go into teacher mode,
and you're like that, you're just using all your time up.
Like, and also like I've put so much energy into this happy-go-lucky persona, and now you're making me step out of this and be like, listen. Like I've just spent I've been trying to convince this room full of people that I'm having a nice time.
And I mean, we've said it before, but there are like so many people now, I think if they've only seen comedy on social media, they think that like you're supposed to heckle, or that it's like part of it. And so occasionally, like when I've been on the door, I don't know if you've had this, but like you say to people at the door, don't chat while the act's on stage, and don't heckle or don't shout out or something, and they'll go, what do you mean we're not allowed to heckle? And they like fully genuinely think that that's what they're here to do. And they're like, no, like, oh my god, like
it's also some of my favorite things. I think it was Seymour Mace that did it. I'm sure other people have done it. But there was one. He got heckled, and the heckler, no one responded. It was like such a dead heckle. And then Seymour just stood maybe for like 3 to 5 seconds and like held that awkward, like no one was playing. And then he was like, it's harder than it looks, isn't it? And I was like, great. That is unreal. I think people want that that like absolute comedian slammed heckler, like that kind of moment. But I think it works so much better if you just patronize them, make them feel really small.
Do you see how you just ruined it for a second?
And there's also one that was someone was like, "You done?" It's like, or Mark Thomas likes to really draw it out, and he like fully just goes in and he like grades.
What did you say?
And he like goes down and he like talks it. So when you started it, if you said it just a little bit louder, and you just projected, and he goes on for ages and ages, and then he like, so I give that a B-. It's painful to watch, but in a really, really good way.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite
Love
bits of
him.
like crowd work that I saw was like it was one of Jordan Brooks's videos.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the classic kind of thing of like he's chatting to two guys in the audience, and as a joke they pretend to be a couple briefly for a second,
yeah,
like
yeah,
oh
yeah.
he's my boyfriend, you
Yeah.
know, like it's the classic up there with like this is my carer or like
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
like
yeah.
dog shit like audience patter.
Yeah.
And he just like stays in that moment of just like, oh, so it's a joke that you're gay but you're not. It's a joke that you're gay but you're not. Is that the joke that you're gay but you're not? It's a joke that you're gay but you're not. Like,
Oh my God.
just stays in it for ages.
And he's so good at like making everyone feel like, oh, I love him. I think I might have seen that video. Actually. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
so
man.
good.
But it's also like it's a difficult one because sometimes you'll be like say hosting or speaking to an audience, and sometimes you do have just two outright lads who are genuinely in love. like I can't tell if you are being problematic or I am.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna take you at your word.
Two lads who are genuinely in love. That's so nice.
That's just what I want to be. I want to be two lads.
Oh my God.
They're like the biggest blokes, but again,
Genuinely
a couple.
enough. Yeah.
The Stand Comedy Club podcast is proudly sponsored by West Brewery.
Well, you've had a pretty good year in comedy this year, haven't you? With your pretty much sold out run at the Edinburgh Fringe.
At the stand.
At the stand.
The key is to pick a small room.
No, don't
Sorry.
downplay it. Don't
It was
downplay it.
great with your Cineman.
Yeah, like so that was a ton of fun. So I sort of like done like work in progress version of the year before, like in a different venue. Like I gotta say I'm not just saying it. It was like night and day, just like in terms of like being taken care of and like just being able to just focus on the show itself. And I mean just really fortunate with the Fringe this
Yeah.
year.
Were you in stand 4?
Yes.
People were because I was in the office most of the time for the Fringe, and people were coming in constantly being like, Cineman, can I have it?
Yeah.
And it was most of the time we were like, sorry, it's sold out.
Oh,
Sorry.
It was great. It was so good. But you were featured in like in a newspaper right at the start of the Fringe. What
At the
was
start,
it?
it
It was like a preview thing.
There was like sort of like a handful of like comedians to like
It was
go
like
see.
recommended. I think But I think that. I mean, it must have made a big difference.
That helped, but also, I mean, the Stand did a really great job of, like, even in the run up, one like social media, like sort of like collaborating, being like, is there anything like we can use, and like so we were able to put out like the sort of TikTok clips, just which I think it's so different to say like other venues where you're just kind of like on your own, and also like kind of putting you on like compilation shows to kind of, that you can like being able to play here and have the poster up so you can by the way I've got a show and but no it was a really nice time, and we were in that green room that's sort of shared with like, so the Stand 4 and the Stand 3 share a green room, and so most of the run it was like me, Paul McDaniel, the legend. The show
Love
on
that
before
guy.
me. Ralph Brown, legend.
Love that guy.
Like on after me, like Neil Bradford's legend.
Love that guy.
And so just I had a lovely like group to like sort of
that's
share
really
the month
nice.
with.
Yeah.
Like.
Did you get to meet Jeremy Corbyn?
I didn't. That was one of the days that because I had a habit of I would come in very early, like to the green room. Spent like before Paul's even started his show, and just kind of pace in that room. I like do the vocal warm ups because it's an hour that I do a lot of yelling
and singing
and singing. My heart goes out to all the staff who were there who had to hear a final like 10 fucking minutes of the show every fucking day. But the one of the days I was just like, you know what, I can come in a little later. It's fine. And fucking Jez is there.
Because loads of the people like Paul McDaniel and Elaine Robertson both had like photos with Jeremy Corbyn in the green room, and it was just it was so nice for them to, I'm sorry that you didn't also get to meet him. Jeremy Corbyn did a like one-off sort of interview panel show thing at the Stand.
I really, really wanted to meet Kyle Smith Biner,
Oh, yeah.
who was also doing In Conversation With, which was in stand 3, and I got the days wrong, and I had swapped. So I had the morning off that day, and I had swapped it with the day before, so that I was like, I just want to go in and see it, just so I can say that we've been in the same room, because I think he's so funny. And then and I was then working the day that I had swapped, and had a text from Fraser saying, "Oh, did you meet him?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?"
Sad.
So it wasn't meant to be. But if you're watching this, please come on the pod. Love you. Great guy. No, he's so funny.
Yeah.
But such a good. I quite liked that. In the Fringe this year, Fraser and I were staying in a flat together. We were staying in the Stand Towers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so then we essentially just were on that street for the
flat
whole
is like
month.
opposite the main stand, so you must have felt a bit insane. No, like you're sort of stuck in the same like.
If you're already insane,
Yeah,
you
you can
to
literally
feel
see
insane.
the stand from the window
I
of the
would
flat, like.
be watching people going in and out, either eating my breakfast or eating my dinner, which was, it was good to be have as much time in bed as possible.
True.
But the thing that I did really like about it, although I didn't really leave that street for the whole month, was how many people would come in, and I would like every day I would see people come in and out, grab their posters or their flyers.
All the posters and flyers were kept in the flat that Molly was staying in.
Yeah.
So it was a sort of strange collection of people coming in and out.
Actually, I saw Paul McDaniel pretty much every day, and
Legend.
Legend, friend of the pod, and I and every time he came in, I just happened to be in my pajamas,
regardless of what time it was.
And he was just coming to get his flyers. But it was so nice. I think the sense of community, with the stand venues there. There was stand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and they're all on the same street. And the fact that you couldn't really move on that street without seeing someone that was associated with the stand, and I really liked that. That was, I don't know, there were so many people that were working and performing there, but everyone was like involved and loved it.
Did you ever get, because at stand 2, so I think around about noonish, Seymour Mace had his show, and like part of the show is he pokes his head out the window and screams a question, like something about like, have you heard this song? I remember I had it like the first day, and I was like, oh, this is so strange, and then it just happened a few times. And like you talked to a few other folks. Did you get shouted at by Seymour?
He had a bit in his show that every day a different staff member had to pick a song that he could dance to, and then the crowd had to give it a rating, and then he would shout out the window and get a random person on the street to give it a rating, and then whoever won at the end got a prize. And sorry, I won the prize. Did you?
What the hell?
At the rap party, I got.
Oh yeah,
given
you
a
did.
prize.
Yeah.
But on his last show,
Yeah.
we do every year we prank Seymour Mace on his last show, and Sean was there for this. So when there was a bit in the show where he had a toy Evel Knievel that wound up, and he would like make it jump off a ramp. But initially he wanted to make it jump out the window every show, but because of health and safety, obviously, like it could have landed on anybody walking past, so he wasn't allowed to do it. But he said that on the last show he was going to do it anyway, because it was the last one, no one could tell him off. So we all knew that was happening, so we all gathered outside the window with someone was dressed as Evel Knievel. We had a big sheet. Sean was one of the people holding the sheet, and with a big X marks the spot on it. And so when he started out the window, it was just like loads of people outside, and he made the Evel Knievel jump out the window, and we were aiming to catch it in the sheet, and it did not. It just straight on the pavement, and we were like, oh, okay, well, and then and then he just left, and that was it. But it was very funny.
Nice. What was the song that you picked?
I don't remember.
Was it Let's Hear It for the Boy?
Oh.
No.
Oh, that did win
it was
one
a
year.
Prince song. It was a Prince song.
Oh.
Don't remember which Prince song, but I didn't cheat, but it was heavily influenced. Every time Seymour would come into the office, he'd be like, nobody's picked a song by Prince.
Right. I'm fuming about that. Every year I try every year I try my hardest to think what would seem more like, and I think that's maybe my downfall because I'm trying too hard. Mine was really good. Mine was Susudio by Phil Collins, which is an
maybe
absolute
it came
bop.
close. Do you know what was it high ranking? Do you know?
I think it was solidly mid-table.
Maybe
scoring.
people didn't know it enough.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
it needs to be well known.
Yeah.
I sang that song sort of every day in my show.
No way.
Yeah, because a part of that 10 minutes where it's just taking pop songs, changed them to be about movies, and one of the ones was Susudio, but it was Suspiria.
I was Suspiria. Suspiria.
Yeah, it was fun because it was like, I think there was the third song in that sequence. So at this point, the audience has figured out what's happening. It's just all right, you're gonna get a pop song. It's gonna be about a movie.
Yeah.
And that was when you caught who the real kind of sort of nerds were, because Susudio would start. You just say, "There's a ballet school in East Berlin," and when that gets a laugh, you're like, "You're ahead of me. You know it's Dario Argento's Suspiria."
I love that.
Yeah,
That is good.
And for the last 10 minutes of this part, you're going to sing the whole song. Well, I knew that you did Gold, but it was old.
Yeah.
The beach,
the beach that makes you old.
Yeah.
The greatest idea for a movie ever.
Stupid.
What other ones? Are you comfortable with saying this on the...
So the first one is Carly Rae Jepsen, legend.
Legend, friend of the pod.
Yeah, friend of the pod. It's Carly Rae Jepsen's Call Me Maybe, but it's Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. Then it's Stand By Your Man, but it's Elephant Man.
Wow.
Then it was Suspiria. You Got the Touch, the song from Transformers the movie, but it's We Bought a Zoo.
What the fuck?
And then it's Breakfast at Tiffany's, but it's being John Malkovich. Then it's Xanadu by Olivia Newton-John, but it's Babadook.
Nice, that's really good.
Then it's Old, and then the big finish is Maroon 5's She Will Be Loved, but it's There Will Be Blood. In Daniel Day-Lewis's voice, there was the voice came back for the end of the run, but there was I bet like 3/4 into the run, there was like maybe 2-3 days where people weren't getting me at my best voice. Like it was, you could tell. There was a period where I just had like a bottle of Cavonia, and I was just swinging it like it was like a little bottle of whiskey.
You should. Have you ever heard of Vocal Zone?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was on the Vocal Zone. Yeah,
I was sponsored, but we should be.
I was dishing them out like before the show. I was like, me, Neil and Paul, I was just like you want a Vocal Zone? There we go.
Oh my god, I just had such a flashback. Such an embarrassing faux pas that I did to Will, MC Hammersmith. And he is a big fan of Vocal Zone because he does a lot of rapping.
Yeah.
And he told me kind of the start of the Fringe, like every time before we say it, ready to go on, he is vocal zoning or like humming into this tube or something. And then I always make a comment, and it's just, it's like, oh, vocal zone again. And he said, I am training the muscles in my throat to withstand the whole month. So then cut to a couple of weeks in the Fringe, I am tired. And he comes up and out like behind, I'm standing, and he comes up behind me, he goes, "What's up, Molly?" like that in his lovely voice. And then we're chatting, and I say, "How's the throat training going?" Which means something completely different.
Like what? There's the reason they call him the throat goat.
I was like, "Oh, hi, Will. How's the throat training?" In front of a room of everyone, and I was just, as soon as I said it, I was like, I could feel my cheeks go so red.
Did he like? He understood what you meant, or was he like?
I think he did understand,
But everyone else who was there wouldn't have.
After the fact that I was like, oh my God, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. But yeah, the throat training. MC Hammersmith sponsored by Vocal Zone. That honestly, the flashback could get, you know, sometimes when you get like a chill.
Yeah.
I just had to share it. It's a safe space, hopefully.
Yeah. Like when something happens and immediately after you're just like, this is now already a memory that's
You
gonna
can just
come to
feel
me
it.
late at night. You know?
It's just as you're drifting off, and then you go,
Remember that thing you did?
Remember that time you told someone you don't really know how their throat training was going? Oh God. But yeah. So the throat training's going well.
Like I had no discipline. I was just vocal zones and chugging Cavonia, and the only care I did take was, compared to the previous year, I made an effort to not smoke during the Fringe, and then on that final day, like I was just get back down.
I suppose though, like as a comedian, you're not a singer. Like obviously, like people who use their voice in a certain way have to look after their voice, but you don't really have to. You don't normally have to think about it as a comedian.
Yeah. Like it was just because there was quite a bit of singing in the show, and I wanted to make sure. But yeah, it's not good voice. It's loud, but
you can hear it. Well, that's good. So, with Cineman having the film and comedy together, is that something that you like doing? Just do you think you'll do more kind of film inspired comedy, or do you want to branch out from that?
I know with like whatever I do next, I want to open up and move a bit away from that, because some people were like, oh well, you could just do this every year, and I don't want to specifically be the guy who's bringing the same show like every single year, but I'd like to, maybe once every few years or so come back with a new film show, because it does come with the built-in audience, and it's
totally.
And before I did it, I don't know, like with other shows that I'd done, I was like, well, there's quite a few film bits in here, and so like it was like, well, why don't we just make the whole show out of those? Yeah, I do want to explore other stuff, so that I don't get like locked into that. What was quite nice about that Fringe there was, for 2.5 weeks I was also at the Free Fringe just doing it. We double-hander with friend Ruth Hunter, legend.
Friend of the pod.
And what was quite nice was, so we were just splitting an hour, and she had like the beginnings of like a show that's going to be great for next year, and I was just kind of going up with a 30-minute blank canvas every day.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, and it was really, because the film show, it's very tech heavy, it's locked into a track, it's just like, this needs to happen in this order, because that's the way that the slideshow goes. But then like, so to then just go up, talk about shit that isn't films, and be more present in the room and fun. So it meant that I was kind of getting the best of both worlds. I was having fun, but like I wasn't getting bored at all. Like I was getting to have a lot of fun.
That sounds good.
Without revealing too much, what do you think your next show is like? What sort of themes is it tackling, if any?
That's the thing. With the film show, even though it's all about films, it's very kind of, here's this bit, and it's really just kind of, here's all the shit I made, here's all the stuff, and like I like to show this to you. And one of my favorite shows that I saw this year at the Fringe, did either of you see Demi Adejuyigbe?
No, I really wanted to. I fucking love that guy.
He's so good. He's so good. And like fits like a lot. It hits a lot of the same stuff, because he does a lot of like film-based stuff, a lot of projector-based stuff. He does mashups, but his show was fantastic, because it truly was just like, here's all the shit I made, with just the right framing device around it. That was just like, here's just an excuse, here's the reason for all this stuff. And so I just need to find
what the framing is.
Yeah. So then it can be I think you got people who are really good at just doing a solid hour of stand up. I think that's a real fucking skill. But I know I'm very much like I like here's my box of toys. Here's like
I think sometimes people try too hard but like for the Fringe specifically, they think this has to be about a really important thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes somebody's show is about a really important thing and is really good.
Yeah.
But you can see sometimes that people are just making it about an important thing because they think they have to make it about it.
Yeah.
Whereas actually sometimes it being silly and fun is like that's what people want.
Yeah.
And that's what's good.
Yeah. And like Stephen Buchanan's done a really good version of that where like with his show Caricature and it was like
Legend,
and again
by
it's
the way.
Legend.
That would be rough on Stephen if it was the other one.
Yeah, like completely gloss over. Like Stephen Buchanan, problematic fave. He's done nothing wrong. But like, yeah, he, his show again has a fantastic framing device. The ending of it was brilliant. But like, a lot of his, here's this sketch and this character now, and it's just finding the way to like weave all those bits together. So it's just trying to find that, trying to find the.
And you've got time.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah. Oh, it feels like those Fringe emails pick up earlier and earlier every single year. Like,
I know, you'll be fine.
So, what kind of movies do you like watching then? If you're a big cineman.
The boring answer is love everything. But like I wind up seeing a lot of horror because my wife's a huge horror fan. She will watch all of it. Like she will watch like the good stuff, the bad stuff. Like so whenever we get an odd night off together where we can go to the pictures, if there's like the big Oscar contender that's coming out and some stupid piece of trash that's like destined to go into Shudder, I know we're going to see like that.
Right.
So I wind up seeing like a lot of that, but I kind of love everything.
Is there anything that has been sort of widely liked or sort of critically acclaimed that you haven't liked, or that you don't agree with the majority on?
I don't know, like a widely acclaimed. I do remember that year that everybody like a lot of folk were just like, "You'll love Joker, won't you?" And it's I fucking hated Joker. And I just. I hated it so much. Like, it's such a dumb movie that thinks it's smart, which is the worst kind of dumb movie.
Is that the first one or the second one?
The first one. I did watch the second one because for a brief little moment, even though I didn't like the first one, I was like, when stuff about the second one was coming out, and I was just like, is this gonna be fucking class? Because when you first off it's gonna be a musical, and then it was like
Lady Gaga.
and they were like, oh, and like the opening of it is like sort of cartoon by Sylvain Chomet, the guy that did like Belleville Rendezvous, and I was like, oh my god, but no, it's
bad.
It's terrible. I didn't go to the cinema to see it, but like as soon as it went online, I was just like, all right, let's fucking do this, and it's so bad. But like this time, no one seems to like it.
Okay.
Like this, if you like the first one, it's a slap in the face. If you didn't like the first one, there's still nothing to enjoy.
I've just seen this week, or in the past 2 weeks, watched The Heretic. Loved.
Oh yeah, really enjoyed.
And then I also watched Hot Frosty, which is the worst film.
What is that?
Have you seen that yet? It's the new Netflix Christmas film where the snowman,
with the guy from Schitt's Creek.
Maybe
the vet from Schitt's Creek.
It's the woman from Mean Girls, and she like turns this like ripped snowman into a human man, but he's still a snowman. Like he can't be inside for too long because he starts to melt. And then he's like immediately in love with her, and then she falls in love with a snowman, and it's so bad.
But I think those Christmas films, if they're good, they're bad. Those Christmas films should be bad because you watch them because they're funny, right?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of an issue with like I was curious to see like so like whether or not like I thought Hot Frosty might have the potential to be, if it's done knowingly, it's like but like you can just have fun with it.
Yeah.
But I think something happened with the transition from Hallmark Christmas movies to Netflix Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And I feel like Hallmark Christmas movies for a long time were made earnestly.
That's the difference.
Now that they've gone over to Netflix, it's become the Sharknado thing.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of like a bad movie, but Sharknado movies are like, they're deliberately making them bad so that people can watch them. And like I feel like there's any Netflix movie with Lindsay Lohan or it's set in like Ireland or Scotland and they're getting all the facts wrong.
Castle for Christmas.
They're deliberately making them this way so people will talk shit about them online, and then it's hate watch, and then it's just getting the money in. It's just like, no, fuck you. Bad movies used to be made with intent to like somebody was truly trying their hardest, and it was still bad. But when you're deliberately making them bad because it's to feed them into the machine, sorry,
that is so true. And I think that's why that kind of film is bad, because it's not done in earnest.
Yeah, like
it's funny to laugh at somebody do something.
Have you seen? It's a Nick Cage film, Willy's Wonderland.
Oh no, because that was the kind of knockoff Five Nights at Freddy's kind of thing.
Yeah, that's terrible. Oh my god, he plays a janitor who doesn't speak for the whole movie, drinks this soda called like Punch or something, or Sucker Punch or something violent like that, and he's cleaning. His car breaks down and he's cleaning up essentially like Freddy Fazbear's, but it's called Willy's Wonderland. And then the animatronics it's a full rip-off of it, but Nick Cage is in it, and there's like these terrible actors, really bad, really violent deaths, terrible sex scenes, and is cannot recommend it enough. Willy's Wonderland.
I mean, that's the thing. Like with Nicolas Cage, you're always rolling the dice. Am I gonna get one of the greatest performances of all time, or am I gonna get a steaming turd? You never know.
But even if he is acting badly, it's in like the best way. Like he's so good at being mental.
He's putting all his effort in.
But him as Longlegs was the best. I loved him in Longlegs.
Yeah, I loved Longlegs. But Longlegs is no. I adored it, but it's like one of my favorite things because it's just like I love this, and I can also 100% understand why somebody would hate it. When your main villain, I say this with love, looks and acts like a Bo Selecta character.
Oh my god!
He's got a fucked up face and a silly voice.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I'm sat there the entire time like, this fucking rules. But if you're not on board with this, I can see why this might be like nails on a chalkboard.
I'm trying to think of a pop song that you could fit Longlegs into. Next time you see me, I'm going to no, actually that's not true because it'll be tomorrow.
I like me and my friends like run like a stupid like little alternative night called Chunks, where you do like characters and stuff. Like the bits are deliberately meant to be very short so they can be very stupid. And one of the bits that I did was just John Malonglegs, and it was like, what if John Mulaney was Longlegs? And it's just basically him just doing long let me in now and it can be nice. I might have to come back not once, not twice, but 3 times. That's too many times.
That's unreal.
Just when you've got an idea that won't sustain itself beyond 30 seconds, that's the night to do it.
That's amazing. Where can you find Chunks?
We're doing it at Van Winkle West End at the moment. Chunks has been,
I think I pointed the wrong camera.
It's gone through like so many for a while it was cursed for venues. It began at the Halt Bar. The Halt Bar immediately closed down. It moved over to the Roxy immediately closed down.
No.
Moved over to the 13th Note before we were asked not to come back because one show ended in a pie fight, and then the 13th Note closed down. Then it moved to the Griffin,
which is now closing.
Is that now closing?
Well, because the King's is like shutting down for renovations soon.
Oh wow!
And so the Griffin will have no trade. So
fuck.
Yeah.
And then we moved to McFab's. and technically McFab's closed down. We're technically back there now because now it's
Oh
Van
my
Winkle
God.
West End. It's
You
like,
can't do the show here.
No,
Yeah, please don't do it here.
I like my job.
Chunks, not even once.
Oh wow,
John Malonglegs.
that is funny.
Yeah.
Now that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh man,
That's so
I
good.
wanted to ask. This isn't actually relevant to what we're talking about, but the classic iconic photo that you have used for your poster with the popcorn beard.
Oh yes.
AJ, who took that photo.
Yeah.
That was his first comedian photo.
Yeah. So he had we'd done like a little shoot before that of just regular bits and pieces, and then like when I had the idea for the poster, I was like let's give it a try. And at the time, I had a beard, and didn't even think like, oh, is this gonna work? We used prosthetic glue.
Okay.
You know, I was thinking, prosthetic glue, so that'll come out
Yeah.
easily. Turns out on skin, yes. On hair, no. Like,
It's a whole full
no.
beard of popcorn.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
It involved like each individual bit of popcorn having to be dipped
Right.
in glue and then attached to the beard, and yeah.
Was it toffee popcorn?
Yeah, it was butter kissed.
It looks, you
yeah.
can tell.
Yeah.
It looks fucking
But so how did you get it off then?
Well, all the popcorn came out easily.
Oh, but then you're just covered in glue.
Yeah, and I had to spend the walk home. Like the beard looked like it was. It didn't look like glue. That's all I'll say. It looked like it had been a big night.
And how is the throat training going?
Yeah.
Call back.
Wow. What question are you asking? Molly's classic question.
As we are rounding off the podcast each week, I think of a question that has nothing to do with what
Anything.
we've spoken about. Last week, or we've spoken before to Susie about Muppets, and we've spoken about the Olympics and all of this. But this week, I'm going to ask, and I'm stalling, if a fairy godmother came to you and she can only turn you, she goes plap, and she can only turn you into either a frog or a rat. Ooh. What do you think, like, you actually would be?
Not what you want.
Not that you want, but what do you think spiritually? Are you more frog or rat?
I'm gonna go with rat. I feel like I don't know if you saw all the chat this summer about kind of rodent boy summer, just like it was a big summer for like weird looking skinny boys, and I've never felt more seen. Also, I'd like to be a rat because then you can still cook.
Oh my god!
Yeah, what can you do as a frog?
Yeah,
Nothing.
You can
Sit on a log.
sit on a log.
To be fair, that would be quite nice.
I would love to sit on a log.
yeah, and you can still tap dance. There's that
man, there's so
cartoon
much-
of like
yeah.
the one frog like, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey."
That's true.
Or the rat taking that big slice of pizza.
Oh,
The
pizza
Subway rat.
rats!
Yeah.
A legend.
I think rat's the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck are frogs doing these days?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Maybe it
Apart
should have
from
been
tap dancing.
Toad. Anyway, that was
good
great.
answer.
Really good answer. Perfect. And then any social media? Do you want to plug your social media?
Oh yeah, you can catch me on I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter as of time of recording, and Blue Sky now.
Nice.
On CD
Nice.
Thorburn. TikTok. I created that account and then got locked out of it, so I'm on Chris_Thorburn there.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah,
I had so
thank
much
you.
Thanks for having
fun.
me.
Bye,
Fraser, we
Sean.
did it. Bye, Sean.
Bye, Sean.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sean.
The Stand Comedy Club podcast is sponsored by West Brewery.